When I was a young child, my father would tell me that every star in the night sky was the spirit of a cargo climber looking down at us from heaven, or hell, depending on which one we were underneath at the time. It changes because the Earth rotates. Welcome back to Cargo Climb December. It's day 5. I recorded a day 5 video yesterday, but I re-listened to some of it and deemed it too sad. I talked about some of my professional anxieties about whether or not I would ever have a sustainable career and decided that this was not the vibe that we want for Cargo Climb December. So it's nearly 5 p.m. It is entirely too late for me to be recording Cargo Climb. But we gotta do it because I want kind of a better video for today. I want to do good. I do feel like the videos are getting better. I'm really happy with yesterday, even though I feel like the audio quality still isn't quite where I want it to be. And I didn't actually check the video settings in OBS to make sure that they saved to the optimal settings. So I should probably do that. Oh goodness. I should probably do that because sometimes OBS just decides that I'm recording in 4:3. I think because my monitor is 4:3 and OBS wants to keep to that. So let's check real quick. Yep, no, everything looks good. Everything looks good. What's the mic filters looking like? Those are looking pretty good. Those are looking pretty fine. Hopefully, I'm trying out another new filter, and hopefully that's good. I do appreciate the commentary practice that I'm getting doing this project. Also, wow, how is it only day 5? I feel like it's been a faster day today than it has been for the past few days, and that might be because I haven't cargo cloned yet, and so my perception of time was unmoored. I have yogurt. I'm eating yogurt right now, and I'm hoping that my yogurt slurp is not being picked up by the mic and is being effectively combated by the filter. How many mouth movements does this man need to make to say the words "good job"? Man is flapping like a Muppet. So this is a strange hill because this is a paved hill. Why architecturally, structurally does this hill need to exist? I assume there's some kind of underlying reason why, because this is like a strip mall. There are several businesses in this area, and they're all having to rest on an incline. Like, who works here? Like this red building with the green door? This is either a residence or a business. And it's you have to step off of the inclined road onto a non-inclined building. Does that happen in the world? I feel like that happens in the world and I maybe don't notice it so much when it's not in Cargo Climb. And this place just has a star in front of the door and a very nice kind of cyberpunky looking green and yellow neon sign that I've been kind of like, I have been thinking about that sign. I thought, do I want to make commentary on that sign? Do I want to speculate on what the meaning of that symbology is. Of course, the star, the pink star, we are in Twilight Town, which, you know, there's a clear connection there. There's a clear twilight to nighttime theme. But the garage has a sun on it, and I think that sun is a symbol, if I'm not mistaken, that is fairly common to the world of Twilight Town. Why did I blank on that name? Why can I not hit the talk button correctly and I'm only hitting the attack button? Alright, I'm also gonna try hard. But not for Hayner, for myself. I do cargo climb for my own joy. And for my own pleasure. This is recreational to me. This is normal to me. I do this, and it doesn't even faze me. So we've got sun and star theming. Do we have any moon theming in the vicinity of this little incline? Do we have... I don't, from this angle, see the moon in the skybox. I don't see a moon much of, but there's the star symbol is also by the door. So the star, or the sun symbol is also by the door, or hanging off the wall. So that means that that's a symbol that's maybe associated with this business. Which this is a possibility. I've speculated on what goes on in the garage, right? It could be that this is a business called garage. That garage is not denoting the exact part of the building that we're pushing the cargo into, but is the name of the establishment. Like, there's a burger joint called Smitty's Garage. So this could be a, we could be pushing ham up the cart, because that's the only thing that I could think would be in this bag, based on the qualities that we know about the thing in the bag. And so it could be a restaurant called Garage, but the restaurant called Garage has a garage, because the thing that we're pushing the cart into is itself a garage. Now there's the possibility we've also talked about that the sack is not a sack, that it's a thing that looks like a sack, but is itself not a container containing an imported item, but is the important item that we are trying to transport. And so there might be an element of things not being what they appear to be, right? For all we know, this is merely Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill. And this surrounding narrative, you know, of Roxas, of Twilight Town, of everything that surrounds the hypothetical game of Kingdom Hearts 2, if such a game outside of Cargo Climb existed, that is merely how Sisyphus begins to perceive his eternal mission, and how I perceive mine. You know, it's possible that this is Sisyphus's dream, or Sisyphus's maladaptive daydream, that he imagines himself as Roxas, that he invents Roxas in the eternity that he must push the boulder up the hill. Because eternity is a long time. And, you know, given an infinite monkeys with infinite typewriters, one of them will produce the works of Shakespeare. But given one Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a hill for all eternity, will Sisyphus create the lore of Kingdom Hearts? Will Sisyphus consider Roxas in the infinity that he has to push the boulder up the hill? Because it is infinity, and there's the potential for any thought. There's the potential for for any thought that occurred to Sisyphus, so long as it's a thought that is possible for a person to have. Sisyphus could, in theory, create languages in his mind as he pushes the boulder up the hill. He could create every language as he pushes the boulder up the hill. Oh no, I just hit a button that changed my window size. Did that mess with the recording? It doesn't appear that it did. Sisyphus could invent every language. Sisyphus could write every story just in the confines of his own mind to occupy himself as he pushes the boulder. In fact, Sisyphus could imagine a universe, and holding each detail in his mind and memorizing it bit and piece at a time, maybe etching things in the boulder if he's able to, or etching things in the hill if he's able to. Sisyphus can map constellations. Sisyphus can arrive at the movement between two particles in space. And because he has infinite time, he can then map the movement of three particles in space. And then 4, and then 8, and then 16. Sisyphus can, in his mind's eye, picture the interactions of molecules, atoms, electrons, neutrons. He can give them his own names. And he can imagine in his mind, he can chart mathematically, if these particles existed, how would they interact with each other? And as Sisyphus watches the boulder roll down the hill, he thinks to himself, there's an explosion of particles that I can chart on my stone. An explosion of light and color and sound with no one to perceive it. And Sisyphus continues the thought experiment. Because he has infinity. It takes him multiple human lifetimes to chart out how every individual particle moves every single millisecond. But he has all the time in the world. He has all the time in any world. And he has infinity to do it, so he will do it infinite times. And so does Sisyphus then create our universe within his mind as he charts out particles after particles after particles, expanding and growing and changing and charting? Sisyphus creates all in his time pushing the cart up the hill. In a way, his goal stops being the boulder, because the intellectual pursuit has made him more than his situation. Sisyphus becomes God. And the thing is that this does not necessarily need to happen. Right? Just because Sisyphus has infinite time does not mean that he will do everything possible for him to do. You know, it's possible that in the sprawling infinity, there are still some things that Sisyphus could think or could internalize that he still will never. Or things that are beyond him. Or it's possible that Sisyphus simply has a limited capacity for memory that makes charting a full universe, even with infinite time, impossible. But then that brings the question of, you know, what are Sisyphus's limitations? You know, how mortal is Sisyphus still? Does he have in him the spirit of a mortal human, or is he more deity? For his quest is eternal, and his relationship with the stone and the hill becomes a fable. Is Sisyphus the barrier between reality and fiction? Is Sisyphus the thing that divides Roxas's world from my own? That is the question at the heart of Cargo Climb. Because, you know, I acknowledged this, I think, in the very first video. But this is clearly Sisyphean, right? This work clearly wants to indicate Sisyphus. It clearly wants to indicate a boulder pushed up a hill, only to fall back down again. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave Roxas? Does Roxas know who Sisyphus is? You know, we talked about the possibility that Roxas knows who I am and I know who Roxas is, but we don't know that the other knows. Is it possible that Roxas doesn't know me, but we both know Sisyphus? We're both thinking about Sisyphus as we push the boulder up the hill. Is that what is on the cart? Is the large item a boulder? A boulder that looks like a burlap sack? You know, what other burlap sacks exist inside the Kingdom Hearts universe? Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas. So we can assume that perhaps the sack is full of bugs, as Oogie Boogie is, because we have one data point, and that's Oogie Boogie, and he's full of bugs. And so maybe this one is also full of bugs, because you know, if we extrapolate, there's only one thing in this universe that we've encountered so far that has this material and texture, and it's full of bugs. But also the thing that we've encountered so far is alive, or was alive before we killed him in Kingdom Hearts 1. So, spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 1, by the way. But this thing does not appear to be alive. It, at the very least, does not react to being hit. You know, and I think part of the definition of life is that it reacts if it gets hit. So, is this perhaps like an egg sac from which Oogie Boogie species emanates? You know, sort of a pupa situation that Oogie Boogie or the bugs that make up Oogie Boogie can emerge from. And if that's the case, then what if the business that is Garage is an Oogie Boogie breeder, and they manufacture specialty Oogie Boogies for the world to enjoy? You know, fancy Oogie Boogies for the wealthy, or, you know, like a clownfish. Like a clownfish. Or maybe it is just a sack full of bugs. It could also be a sack just full of bugs. But I think that we were onto something with Sisyphus. And that makes me wonder what Sisyphus would think of The Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't think that he would feel necessarily one way or the other about it. But if you were able to show it to him, I think he would consider it like a wonderful break from pushing the boulder up the hill. And in fact, I think that he might become mildly obsessed with it after only the first viewing. He might become extremely obsessed with it after the first viewing because it's new information being added to his brain after an eternity of nothing but a boulder and a hill. And so as he pushes the boulder over the hill, he absolutely pores over every inch of The Nightmare Before Christmas in his mind. But he's only seen the movie once and he cannot see it again. So of course he forgets details. He has to forget details because he is human. He may mirror deity in his role and function and eternality, but he is still subject to human folly. So he cannot perfectly remember the movie. And so is the version, because the version of Nightmare Before Christmas that we see in Kingdom Hearts 1 is different from the movie. Like, Christmas Town isn't in it, but Oogie Boogie is, and the climax is the same, minus Santa. Jack Skellington's role is completely different. He's not, like, fed up with Halloween Town. They're trying to make a heart. Is it possible that Kingdom Hearts 1's Nightmare Before Christmas world is Nightmare Before Christmas filtered through the memory of Sisyphus, who saw it one time several thousand years after pushing the boulder up the hill? That's how he imagines the movie after having seen it, or after several months or several years after having seen it. You know, and his mind might play a few tricks on him in his recollection of the film's events. And if you were to watch the movie a second time by some miracle, would he be angry? Would he say, this isn't the movie? The movie is about making a heart. And so perhaps what Kingdom Hearts is Sisyphus unraveling through some reality-bending Disney fan who showed him a bunch of Disney movies one time each, which broke his brain. And so he mulls over the plot but gets details wrong. And in his mind, he invents a character to navigate through these spaces to connect them to each other in his mind, because he can't comprehend them any other way. And he calls this character Sora. Sora is the key to Sisyphus's mind, so he wields the key. And he stops the Heartless, because, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas was the first movie, and he's decided that that movie was actually all about hearts. So everything must be about hearts. And that's how Sisyphus invented Kingdom Hearts. I think. It's possible that I was only told the story of Sisyphus once, and I myself am misremembering it. But that's the broad philosophical and psychological analysis that I have right now about where Cargo Climb connects to the myth of Sisyphus, and I guess to the Nightmare Before Christmas. So of course the question then is Cargo Climb a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? And you know, I think that's actually an interesting question. Right now, you know, I'm playing it in December, and so you could argue that it is more Christmas, but you know, there's a lot of orange. And like we've already said, it has an egg sack belonging to Oogie Boogie in a starring principal role. So it's part of the Nightmare Before Christmas extended universe. Clearly. And so, yeah, I don't know. Isn't it kind of weird that Sora knows what Christmas is? I was thinking this the other day. I was like, because in Kingdom Hearts 2, oh no! I talked for too long, and we're getting booted from Cargo Climb. You've become quite dexterous. Well, listen, I'm pretty sleep deprived. I think I might, it's 24 minutes. I think that might be fine. We can call it here. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter one, but I did play Cargo Climb today, and I made a commentary video that was hopefully a little bit better to watch than the one I was going to upload instead. Okay, bye!